Such an honor to be here, and such a real joy to see the Soul Track and to be a part of the Soul Track. It's one of the things that I've been wanting to share, and I've been in this space for a really long time, since the original transformative technology. Who here remembers transformative technology in the conference? Yes, yes, wonderful. So I've been tracking this space for a long time. I've been in this space for a long time, and a few things have changed, and one of them is this very track. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was taboo to talk about spirituality, especially in serious domains like business and like science. These were kind of separate endeavors, and now, and I've been working in the medical space. Originally, our work was in the entertainment space, so I've worked across the entertainment sector and the medical sector, science and business, and increasingly people understand that we really have a spiritual problem. That the problem that we have in this world that we need to solve with business, with technology, is a spiritual problem, and there's something spiritually missing from our culture and that what we've been building. And I'm especially grateful that that word, spirit, spirituality, we can talk about this now. We're not so ghettoized anymore. And so that's actually really changed the landscape, because we used to have to talk around that. But we don't have to do that anymore. So what I'm going to talk about is the economic business models, for the business and the economic infrastructure for scaling awakening, for scaling psycho-spiritual transformation. Why is psycho-spiritual transformation important? I assume everybody here has some experience of that and has certainly some interest in that. And what do I even mean by that? Because it means different things to different people and different traditions, and I'll get into that. But we have a pretty darn serious problem globe-wide right now, in that humanity has created some pretty incredible exponential problems for our planet and for our species. I'm an optimist. I really love humanity, and I believe in humanity. So when I say all of those things, it's with the love that you might have for your stupid toddler child who you adore, who just can't help but make a fucking wreck of the living room. Shout out to the parents in the room. So, but we need to grow up. We really need to grow up as a society, and as a society of individuals, because the linear thinking and the competitive thinking and the combative thinking that got us by very well in the African savannah does not scale well to the common world. At least not, yeah. So we need to be able to think and see the world in a radically different way than we have been. So I'll give an example of this. Many of the problems that we've been solving with technology, for example, have created other problems. So social media, which was made to connect us, leaves us with a loneliness epidemic. This is just real, measurable. Everybody knows this. Nobody is surprised about this. And yet, here it is, and it's still here. And at the dawn of AI, every time we adapt a new technology, it creates a new longing. And I think that's the correct way to understand it. As we grow dependent upon the technology, it creates a longing. So say social media, you create a dependence on social media to connect with your friends. What does that do? That creates a longing for real connection that's not mediated by text and that's not mediated by screens. How is artificial intelligence going to create new longings in us? I get the feeling, I've been through bubbles and busts enough. I really believe in AI. But I get the smell of a little bit of a bubble, and I also get the smell of this is going to create, we've identified a lot of problems we think this is going to create, but I think it's going to create problems that we haven't imagined yet as well. And I don't mean necessarily, like Skynet, maybe. Honestly, like I said, I'm an optimist, but I don't mean like that. I mean, what are the ways, as we learn to relate with artificial intelligence, what are the ways it is going to create longings in us in order to come back to our humanity? In what ways is it going to call us back through that longing to our humanity? I think is an optimistic way of looking at it. And in that, of course, is opportunity. Business opportunity, and I don't mean that cynically. I mean that we have a responsibility as entrepreneurs, as world shapers, to help people come back to center. I really believe that. So, scaling awakening, scaling psychological transformation. What do I mean by awakening? If I sit here, I don't think everybody can see me. I'm going to try this again. So, a lot of people have a lot of different things that they mean by awakening. So I want to be really clear what I'm talking about so that we're not all mistranslating in our heads. The default mode network tells us a story in an ongoing fashion about who we are and about what the world is and so on. Hi, I'm Robin. I'm this person on the stage. Look how important I am, and look at all of you down here, and you're listening to me, and that's your job. And to listen, my job is to speak. And that's what the default mode network does. We all have one. It creates identity, and it makes us believe in our identity. Through spiritual practice, we can access an awareness of a deeper level of being. We can access, because underneath all the noise and chatter, there is silence. And when we study that silence, we discover that that silence is universal, and that silence holds us, and that that silence is a source of profound wisdom. That all wisdom comes from that silence. So all the genius that can come from your and there's wonderful things that can come from that, but if it's not rooted in that silence, it's going to spiral off into its own nonsense, and that's just the reality of the default mode network. But as we do root into the humility of relating to that universal silence, we gain access to wisdom. Sometimes wisdom that we don't necessarily understand the source of, but it's not also necessarily important that we understand the source of it. What's important is that we root in that silence, root in that wisdom, and let that wisdom animate us. And if we let that wisdom animate us, we can actually solve some of these exponential, complex problems that humanity as a world faces, and we can create a new humanity that is rooted in abiding awareness of this interconnected wisdom and silence. So, how the fuck do we scale that? For a long time, religious infrastructure has been the only way to give people access to this. And religious infrastructure has its issues. This is an infrastructure talk. So I'm going to be talking about religion as infrastructure. And I'm going to be talking about all sorts of sacred things as economic infrastructure. So religious infrastructure has, in many cases, creating access to the sacred, access to the divine, access to that silence, access to wisdom, and of course, in many cases, it has corrupted that. There are many problems with religious infrastructure, and we're beginning to see a religious revival right now, by the way. A lot of people aren't aware of that, especially people who have woken up into the spiritual but not religious category. There's actually kind of a religious revival happening right now. There's especially through plant medicine. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself right now. My work comes in two halves. In two hands, I like to think of it. On the left hand, hi Ashita. On the left hand, I do a lot of religious work. My wife and I run an underground ayahuasca sanctuary, and I'm on the board of another ayahuasca church based out of Guatemala and coming to the US. So I've somehow found myself involved as an administrator in the growth of ayahuasca, which has been a very delightful and joyful surprise to my life. So, and through that, I've built a temple, and I wish I could show you pictures right now of the temple, because a big thing that I want to talk about in this talk, talking about infrastructure, is talking about architecture. Infrastructure being that which contains the energy, that which contains the movement. Architecture is the material expression of this. And when we're building a temple, it has to be perfect. It has to be a prayer, and you don't take shortcuts on your prayers. When we are relating to the infinite, we bring our most perfect selves to the infinite in humility, and a temple is that. A temple is a humble place, and it is also a perfect place. And so you don't make shortcuts when you're building a temple. When you're building an altar, who here builds altars in their home? When I'm building an altar, and part of what I do when we have visitors come to sit in our temple is sometimes under the influence of the medicine, I will go out into the forest and I will pick plants and I will bring them into the sanctuary and make an altar out of them, and it's become a really profound art form to me. So while I'm doing all of these things and building businesses, I've also discovered this new art form that connects me to spirit. When you make an altar, you don't make compromises, you don't cut corners. So that's part of my life. The right hand of my work is this project, SoundSelf. So I've been working in the psychedelic sector through gaming technology. For anybody who saw my talk yesterday, I was talking a little bit about that. I had the insight about 12 years ago that a video game, because I was a game designer, that a video game is a feedback loop, and the right feedback loop could direct attention towards the infinite. Rather than directing attention towards some goal on a screen or some character on a screen or something like that, could direct the attention towards the infinite. So that's what I've been building with SoundSelf, and we're deploying that to ketamine clinics. And through this work, both through the temple and also through the software for ketamine, I've done a lot of moving through the space and building business and economic infrastructure to provide transformation and to provide an opportunity for transformation in a way that scales and in a way that people have access to. And I really am a believer of the religious path. However, it just doesn't scale very well. And also that touches a part of our lives. And I think we're moving into a time where we're not segmenting what part of our life is spiritual from what part of our life is not. So therefore, we need to bring access to the sacred into everything that we touch. So here's what I've learned from 12 years of wandering and praying and struggling sometimes for a way to create economic infrastructure for me to have these transformative experiences, because it's been challenging at times. I was a little bit early 12 years ago, and that was challenging. That was economically challenging. What I've learned is that amongst the idealists, and there's a lot of idealists here, there can be a real temptation to, just throw away all the old stuff. We don't need it. We're going to build something new. And that kind of calls to our heart, right? That's kind of tempting. But that is, my God, that is hard. And I've come to really believe in the value of meeting the economy, the economic infrastructure where it is right now, and working with the current systems that are in place, but bringing a layer of the sacred into them. And once we have a layer of the sacred in our banking, then we'll know that we've made it. How much time do I have left? 5 minutes, good. So I've tried this through my first hypothesis was entertainment is going to be a great vertical for this, because when you come to entertainment, firstly because entertainment is ubiquitous, and secondly because when you come to entertainment, you're coming with an open mind, you're coming with an open heart. You're not coming to contracting around an idea of what you're trying to get from it. You're really coming with curiosity, hopefully, or boredom, which is curiosity disguised. So I really believe that entertainment was going to be a viable infrastructure than this. And one of the amazing things about entertainment is that there is so much incredible infrastructure already in place for distributing. If you want to find whatever the thing that gets you off, that you like, that you're interested in, there is entertainment out there, and you can easily get it for $14 a month or whatever it is. The people working in entertainment have really figured out distribution. And so I thought, if we can get transformative experience into the entertainment channels, that's going to be the fastest way to deploy. However, coming back to what I said earlier about building a temple. When you build a temple, you don't cut corners. And although this is a profoundly effective infrastructure for distributing digital entertainment, if you're going to work with that, you have to work with the same technology that is used for doom scrolling. And it's not necessarily a technology that is built for psychospiritual transformation. So, if you're if you're using the same device for doom scrolling as you're using for your meditation app, you're carrying the somatic imprint of doom scrolling into your meditations. How far do you think that's going to get you? Furthermore, even if you have the sincerest intentions and so on, the amounts of compromises that you have to make for, your iPhone is never going to be a temple. Your computer is never going to be a temple. I'm sorry, it's not. Because a temple is perfect. A temple is a perfect container for your transformation and for your connection with the infinite. It's never going to be in an iPhone. So that was the mistake I made in entertainment, was working in entertainment, you're necessarily deploying on massively available consumer gear, and everything I did was a compromise with that, and so nothing quite worked. So then we took the technology. I still wanted to work with an existing ecosystem. And this is where I think we found something, and this is what I want to share with you, which is if you're interested in technologies that scale transformation, I don't think anything on the phone is going to get you very far. I don't really believe in the entertainment sector anymore. However, I have come to believe in the medical sector, because this is where people go when they really need help. Thank you. And the medical infrastructure isn't really supporting people for mental health as they used to. It just throws them on pharmaceuticals, and now they're on pharmaceuticals for life that scratch the itch but don't address the underlying issue, which is usually a misplaced belief about who you are and about your power and about your past. No pharmaceutical is going to do that for you. You have to do the work. You have to look inward. I think all of us here know this. But coming back to opportunity, that does leave a giant opportunity, because we have this giant economic infrastructure for helping people who are struggling that isn't working. And what's more, they recognize it's not working. The FDA recognizes it's not working. And they're making paths for products and technologies that don't rely on pharmacology as much. Drilling in deeper into medicine, what we've found is there is a golden opportunity right now in ketamine. It's the first clinically legal psychedelic. Now, if you're looking at ketamine, now say what you want about ketamine. It's not ayahuasca. Fine, it's not ayahuasca. But it does provide access to some level of that experience. And there are about 4,000 ketamine clinics in the United States right now. Here's what's interesting. These are not founded by psychologically or spiritually informed people necessarily. Most of the time, they're anesthesiologists. So they know damn well how to administer ketamine in a way that's not going to kill you. Congratulations, you're not going to die if you go to a ketamine clinic. Not today. However, they don't know squat most of the time about providing the right set and setting and spiritual holding, emotional holding, all of this, so that you can integrate your experience into your life. And it's brand new. Now, furthermore, Johnson & Johnson, pharmaceutical company, just released S-ketamine about 4 years ago. It's been doubling in market. I'm almost done. I'm wrapping up. It's been doubling in market size every year. Right now, it's $1 billion drug. These guys are making $30,000 to $50,000 per patient per year. And S-ketamine is even worse than ketamine. So what S-ketamine does is it's a weak psychedelic, and then they have to hold the patient in the clinic for an hour after they have their psychedelic experience. What do you think the patients are doing in that hour after their psychedelic experience? I'll take one guess from the audience. Raise your hand. Doom scrolling. That's right. So you're in this golden hour after you've had a psychedelic experience, and you're going into doom scrolling. It's re-imprinting the same patterns again and again. So there's this really golden opportunity right now where we can educate the system, reform the system, and bring a lot more spiritual integrity to it. So that's my advice, is for people who are really looking to scale transformation, look at existing infrastructures. And if you want to follow the path that we've taken, look at medicine. And maybe look at ketamine, because there's a really profound opportunity there. And there's really profound opportunities everywhere. Anywhere you see an infrastructure, there's an opportunity to bring the sacred into it and to help turn it into a temple. Thank you very much. Oh, I guess I should talk about who I am. If you want to learn about us, it's soundself.com. We are opening a round soon. We actually have just reach out to me if that's something that you're interested in. Thank you.